What up, everyone? It's the DCEU podcast, man. And in this episode, I'll be discussing news regarding the Suicide Squad. It's been confirmed that Sylvester Stallone will have a part in the movie. Now, it hasn't been confirmed, who exactly he's going to play, but given the cast has been revealed for each member of the Suicide Squad, it wouldn't be any of them. He could play someone on the sidelines, like within the government that created the Suicide Squad, or maybe a board of the directors who help approved of the Suicide Squad, or maybe he will play one of the villains in the movie. We have to wait and see until it comes out. As I'm sure you're aware, this is funny because James Gunn, who's directing the Suicide Squad, directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and Sylvester Stallone was in the second one as Starhawk, aka one of the members of the original Guardians of the Galaxy from the comics. But just like the relationship between Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, looks like he's back in one of his movies again. But it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the movie. His role might be something funny, might be something very serious. Given his track record in the past of all the movies he's been in, something tells me that it'll be something spectacular. I'm a big fan of him, so yeah, expectations are pretty high. But before I get on more about ideas or suggestions for Stallone, just want to point out how, just like with Nick Fury and the MCU and them incorporating Star Wars into their world, this sort of creates a little paradox because in Shazam, they made fun of Rocky because the movie took place in Philadelphia, and now they're going to have Sylvester Stallone. Even though they're doing multiverses, I'm not sure if that's going to be in that universe or not. It's still funny that they have the man who brought Rocky Balboa to life, and in a previous installment in this franchise, they created a movie. They were making fun of him by mentioning the stairs he walked on, actually being there, and making fun of Eye of the Tiger. Onto Easter egg ideas that they could do for this movie. Now, just like with Guardians of the Galaxy, this isn't Sylvester Stallone's first superhero movie. The first superhero movie he was actually in was the movie Judge Dredd, which came out in 1995. Judge Dredd isn't someone from DC, but he was still a great superhero who enforces the law. He's pretty much like RoboCop, except he's 100% pure human. They can make a reference to the movie, whatever his character's backstory is. They could mention the date, June 30th, 1995. That's when the Judge Dredd movie came out. They can use that date for his character, whenever it is he joined either the team, the bad guys, the government, and that created the Suicide Squad, or some kind of important date for him. It could also be used possibly whenever something bad happened to him, which caused him to be the character he is. Or depending on what we see in the background, we could see some of the props that were in that movie, or maybe even straight from out of the comics, have his weapon, which was a self-reloading handgun called the Lawgiver. So in the background, depending on which side he's playing for, the good or the bad, they can have a replica of that gun in the background, or among all the weapons in the armory, or any of those. Or maybe in the background have the helmet from that movie that Judge Dredd is known for, or having a costume in a showcase that resembles it. Even the city that Judge Dredd takes place in, Mega City 1, could also be Easter egg or reference. Like I said before, depending on Sylvester Stallone's character's backstory, maybe they could even just make it into a joke, saying, "Where's this goomer from?" Oh, I don't know, some Mega City, I think. Another Easter egg idea would to make some kind of reference or mention about his involvement in the MCU. For example, like depending on his character, they can make like some kind of nickname for him or like some kind of remark that's related to the name Starhawk. Like maybe there could be some kind of Easter egg to the character's origin, or just something related to the character in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Like maybe just call him like a Ravenger, like as an insult. But that would be an Easter egg to what he was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. His character, her Starhawk, was like one of the head honchos of the Ravengers. They could do an inside joke where they compare the Suicide Squad to the Guardians of the Galaxy, since James Gunn is the one behind both of them. It could be kind of like in the Deadpool movies where he makes fun of the DC universe, even though he did more of that in Deadpool 2 than in Deadpool 1. But something like that. Maybe not flat out say, like, hey, you guys are a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy, but maybe something a little bit more subtle that only like true superhero fans would catch. But onto a more pressing matter at hand is regarding Sylvester Stallone's involvement in the DC Extended Universe. One thing I would love to see, because I'm a fan of him as well, is Arnold Schwarzenegger in the DC Extended Universe. Even though he hasn't made a appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it'd be cool to see him in the DC Extended Universe, because he's been involved with DC before. In the movie Batman and Robin, unfortunately, he was Mr. Freeze, which was a major miscasting. I mean, because Mr. Freeze was a former scientist turned supervillain, and Schwarzenegger, well, I don't really think he's fit to play like a scientist. To me, he seems to be more fit to play like action heroes. He's made a family comedy once before. But I wouldn't say cast him back as Mr. Freeze, unless, kind of like in the upcoming Flash movie, how they're going to bring in the 89 Batman universe. Maybe at one point, we can see like the Joe Schumacher Batman universe, and he can make like a brief appearance. Or if we're going to put him as someone new, because of his advanced age, I recommend Solomon Grundy, who in the comics is a supervillain who's a resurrected zombie of a mob. Not really a mob boss, but like a member of the mob. But yeah, so that'd be cool to see. I think that'd be fitting for Arnold Schwarzenegger. But as for a DC hero, he could possibly play maybe the Wildcat. Maybe do like maybe an Ant-Man, have him play like the original Wildcat, and he passes the mantle on down to another worthy soul. It could be like his goddaughter, Yolanda Montez, or his biological son, who is also a werecat metahuman named Thomas Bronson. Or maybe, kind of possibly like Sylvester Stallone's possible role in the Suicide Squad. Maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger can be someone within Cadmus who's trying to work against the Justice League or trying to strengthen the Suicide Squad. We'll have to wait and see if they ever decide to bring him in, which I'm hoping and rooting for. And I just want to say one last thing about Schwarzenegger in the DC Extended Universe, is that they can't always pay like some tribute to his past work in DC by having some kind of Easter egg or reference of him as Mr. Freeze. Maybe have like his suit in the background, or say big buff dude as a ice guy, something like that. Let me just close by saying that the new trailer for the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League looks great, phenomenal. I'm 100 times more eager to see it now. This has been the DCEU podcast, man. Remember, you can hear my podcast on other podcast platforms like Spotify. Remember to hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.